CH is back up. CH is back up. By the way, Augustus, you and I think it was Sir Jude going at it. So what I'll do is I will let you and Sir Jude go back. I think Sir Jude was responding to you. So Sir Jude, go ahead and say what you have to say.
Yeah, I landed with that. I was waiting for him to respond to what I was saying, and then we could
Okay,
go
it's
back and
Augustus. Okay, Augustus, let's go.
My brain, yeah, I fell back to sleep. No, that wasn't a diss as well. I'm super tired, bro. I was gonna say to you, Sir Jude, yeah, this was it. If you say you're a general, right? I saw something on the internet today, and I thought it was actually quite cool, right? Maybe it'll make sense. Story goes there, and I don't know how true it is. It's probably bullshit. I'm almost certain it's bullshit, right? But there was a general with 100 men, and outside the gates, outside the village, right, or outside the compound, the structure, the castle, there was a rival general with 15,000 men, right. So the general in question, he told his 100 men to go and hide, and he sat on a wall, and then the rival general kicked open the gates, breached the gates, and then saw the general sat there on the wall playing the flute. Him being certain it was a trap, he told his men to fall back, and they retreated. And that's just a kind of a nice little story about how you can outsmart your enemy, right, by playing on their fear, right, of being entrapped. Now, say that rival general knew the strategy, he would have just attacked the first general, right. So the point of me saying that is, if you knew everything that the first general was going to do, you wouldn't be able to be played by the first general. You'd be able to play that general, right? As a rival general, you wouldn't be able to play Donald Trump if you knew everything that Donald Trump was doing. As an individual who doesn't know what he's doing, it doesn't mean that there's no plan. It just means you don't understand his plan, if there is a plan, right? Because I can agree, maybe there is no plan, but maybe for 40 years, he's been fucking scheming. You see what I'm going to say? So I hear what you're saying. I get it. From one vantage point, it looks as if it's chaos, right? But chaos is only chaos from one vantage point. From another vantage point, it looks like complete and utter order. So that's all I'm going to say to you, man. Just maybe think about what he could be trying to achieve. Because for you, it's chaotic, but for other people like me, it makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
the
Well,
thing
if you're
is, real quick
talking
here,
about
Sir
war,
Jude.
let me answer you that with just
Sir Jude,
one
let me just
sentence.
say
If you're
this
talking
real
about
quick,
war,
because
yeah,
it
the,
doesn't make sense,
yeah.
right? The thing is, it's a bad
Well,
comparison, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna land real quick because I got a meeting anyways. If
Go to
this
your
was
meeting, bro. It's fine. We're
if
having a
if if
conversation,
if
bro. Nobody.
if
We're
this
having a
was true,
conversation.
hey yo, listen, you just came here. What's going on with you, man? Can you just let me land? I haven't spoken at all. Relax, bro. The
I'm
thing is,
relaxed. I'm very
okay,
chilled.
good, good.
Go for it.
So if this was true, right, he wouldn't have telegraphed his punches in 2017 with the trade when he announced the trade war, and by then China was actually copying, please, please, let's negotiate, etc., etc. But then he didn't execute. So what happened? China got ready. So your metaphor is dead from the jump.
I don't think you actually understood my metaphor, because my metaphor can't be dead, because nothing that you said even equates to anything that I'm talking about. But go to your meeting and enjoy your
Yeah,
day,
you
bro.
didn't address
Um,
nothing
but
specifically.
yeah,
it's fine. It's
Augustus,
fine. It's
that
fine.
that
It's fine. Let Sir J do his
that
thing.
metaphor, if I have to approach it from the with the context that you gave me, literally, you're talking about military tactics, but I'm talking about military strategy. The overall strategy is what doesn't seem to be coherent. I could see the tactics that he's playing, but winning a tactics doesn't mean that you are going to achieve your strategy, your overall strategy. You understand?
I understand, but
Let's
my question is, do you understand
if
his
we have
strategy?
to, yeah, you say that there is no coherent strategy here.
Got it.
okay? Because you could see that you're losing already, okay? You're losing already. Um, America has lost so far, except if something is being reversed. America is lost so far. Look at what is going on in every seat of power in the European Union. Every country previously. Go and see what they are debating in their halls of powers. Look at the names that they are using to describe and characterize American leadership at this point. I mean, this is, you haven't had anything like that in the history of America. That America is losing its leadership. It's like America is leading, but nobody is following at this point.
Okay.
And this is a complete reversal of the achievement that America has made over decades and years.
Got it.
That you are just standing up and seeing it evaporate before us. How can there be any kind of win there? You haven't succeeded with bringing China on the table. If that was your main objective, to bring them on the table for them to negotiate, well, they're not coming on the table. So, what is your overall strategy now? What is your game plan? Okay, you are not getting China, and at the same point, you have alienated dozens of your allies, and they are running to China. That's the counterproductive effect of what is going on. So, how do we
So,
reverse that?
Sir Jude, you know what I think personally? I think Trump wants to pull out of NATO. I think that if a European nation sides with China, then he's got a good excuse to do so. I think that sometimes when you're trying to catch a crook, you can use many a method to do so, right? You know, simply because we don't understand the strategy doesn't mean there isn't one. It just means that we don't understand. And I say that to say, I say that because before I could speak Spanish, I understood that there were a few words that were similar. And now that I speak Spanish, I understand exactly how many words are similar to English, to French, to Portuguese, because I get and I can see the whole thing, right? When you listen to somebody speaking and you don't know what they're saying, it seems chaotic. But as soon as you start to understand, everything starts to make perfect sense. Is that a better analogy? And so right now, I think Trump is maybe speaking a different language, and a lot of people don't understand what he's saying, right? But because they think that the whole point is to renegotiate a deal with China, right? I don't think that that necessarily is the truth. I mean, I think that there is. I think that's one play, but I think that if you employ a bit of game theory and you say, well, what are all of the potential outcomes from this, and how do we pivot from each one of these outcomes? I think then you will start to see that maybe because Trump is the only world leader I've heard, uh, and maybe some people in the European Union actually say that China hasn't been held to account for their unleashing of the fucking COVID-19 virus, right? Or allowing it to leave their shores, right? Right. And you can argue for and against whether it's America's fault, if it's China's fault, if it was by accident, if it was a bioweapon. I really couldn't give a fuck. But for me, I believe it was a bioweapon. I believe it was a fuck you because of the first trade war. I think China showed their hand. I think European nations that are gonna, if they side with China, are gonna show their hand. And I think that's a good. It's a good reason for him to pull out of NATO. A lot of people, mate, I don't even understand why NATO exists. Russia never wanted to be an enemy. They, for fuck's sake, what did they ask twice to be a part of NATO? What are we talking about here? Right? I think the smart play is to see which one of the European nations are going to stand by America in hard times, the same way that America stood by Europe in fucking World War Two. I think that's a good start. I think that's a good a thing for people to remember. I think that if you can't see that maybe Russia would be a great sort of trading partner as opposed to having to sanction them all the time and have a proxy war with them through Ukraine. I think that would be good if you could end that war. You know what I'm going to say? But if China are and have a plan to dominate the world through manufacturing with their 2030 plan, with their Belt and Road Initiative, then if the current superpower is America, and I keep saying, you know already, Thucydides's trap, and China is the rising superpower. America was going to do everything it can if it's not a Joe Biden taking $1 billion from the CCP, right, or at least a loan, a bank loan. Let me be clear, right? Oh no, sorry, his son rather, right? or every other left wing billionaire who kind of acquiesced. 2021, we heard China, we heard, I'm not going to land here, we heard Nike say that Nike isn't an American company, it's a Chinese company for China. I mean, what the fuck? What I think has happened is that China has influenced and infiltrated a lot of these countries, companies, right? And nobody can even begin to fathom to what length they have done so. And the only person to stand up to it, and I appreciate that you recognize this, is Trump. Yeah, maybe he has 4 years. If he gets his way with a third term, maybe he has eight, right? And I don't know. I'm not here to argue for or against that. But what I'm saying is, what are the alternatives? That if your allies can run at a time when you need them the most, they were never your fucking allies, bro. And you're better off without them. And then you get to pull out of NATO and let them fight their wars by themselves.
No,
That's it.
The
the
irony of
allies,
that
the
statement,
allies
right?
didn't,
When we're talking about
the allies
America,
didn't run off,
it's really
right?
baffling.
The, uh, somebody speaking, or do I go?
Yeah, I was saying that the
No,
irony,
I'm
what,
speaking to you,
what I
so
was saying
you
is, hey, listen, this is a podcast, right? This is not the Augustus show.
bro. I'm not.
Yeah,
Mate,
yeah. So
you're
relax,
just a
bro.
bit weird.
I'm just
I'm talking to
debating.
my brother, Sir Jude. I was
Yeah. It doesn't
actually
matter
asking a
what you
question.
think you're
I'm just
doing.
testing him.
I'm talking to the podcast. So you just chill out,
To
and we
talk
pass
to
the mic
yourself,
around
then.
us. Yeah. So what I was saying, the irony of coming with a statement like that, in terms of pro-America, is quite the irony in that statement is really baffling, right? Because how many times has America left their ally in the dry? And I'm just entertaining your premise, which is incorrect, because you're a conspiracy nut. The
Again,
mic is yours.
there
Oh,
you go
okay.
with your pejoratives, and I don't even know who you are. I'm actually a person who listens to both sides and is able to think for myself
Yeah, I
and
doubt
then
it.
theorize. Excuse me, I'm talking now
And you've been
and
ad libbing
theorize
when
for
I was
myself.
speaking, right?
Excuse me,
I am
relax,
relaxed.
and then theorize based on the data points and the opinions of those who are more or better well read than myself. Now, if that ends up being, it manifests as a conspiracy, so fucking what, bro? Everything is a conspiracy until it's proven. And people like you need facts and proof that are hard like in front of you before you can believe and begin to believe. That makes you a slave, bro. That makes you a fool that could be sold anything. And I'm not that person. So miss me with your conspiracy nut pejorative thinking that it's somehow going to destroy my ego. I actually wear that as a badge of honor. Now, back to Sir Jude.
Please do
We were
so.
talking about something. Bro. You've had your 15 minutes. Relax.
You're
I'm talking
talking
to my
about
brother.
15
Um,
minutes. You're
what
mad.
do you
You're
think?
such
What
a
do you?
narcissist,
All
man.
right.
Relax.
Okay. All right. So, Jude, what do you think about what I was saying? I don't even remember what I was saying. Do you? Do you? I think at this time it's kind of weird.
There is no doubt. I give it to you that Trump may have a broader intention to pull out of NATO. There is no doubt about that. Okay, but that makes you wonder, if he wants to do that, does it mean that he does not perceive Europe to be on a point of threat? Europe would disagree. Europe will see the same level of threat that endured why NATO was created, that the threat still exists. That's why neighboring countries in Eastern Europe were joining NATO. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is when they talk about NATO, they focus on Article 5 of NATO, just for military defense. But there is much more broader components of NATO articles than that: cultural development, scientific and economic development. Those are all that. But we focus mainly on the defense, collective defense, right? So is Trump at the right side of history here, where your allies are telling you that you are abandoning us and now you're embracing our common enemy? America has never been in that position. No American president have taken this position that Trump is taking. So the idea that your allies are leaving you is incorrect. But the history is that what Trump has done and his position and his attitudes towards our allies is that he's the one that is chasing them away. He's the one that is actually distancing himself from the allies, and they can't understand him. Okay, so and that's why they have to really kind of fend for themselves. Should Europe step up and take over their own defense in Europe? Of course, they have to take a greater play a greater role to their own individual defense, right? But the way that is being done is very destructive to America. It's kind of squandering all the advantages that America has made. You can't do that or pull out of NATO at the expense of your own particular defense, because America has for long believed that the unity of Europe, the stability of Europe, is to American greater national interest. So whatever happens in Europe is going to affect us eventually. That has been the consensus and the ideology and the approach. Okay, while we were over here in the Western Hemisphere, First World War, we got dragged into it. Second World War, we just got into it. So how many times will something happen for us to learn from it? So there are historical contexts for America to do what they are doing, for America to support NATO. Okay, so you can't just, if you say you're going to dismantle it at a time that Russia is opening up its aggressive nature and opening its threat in Europe. It's not something that somebody would say that is reasonable, especially when you are dealing with a Russian ruler that saw the dismantling of the Soviet Union. I'm quoting him, the greatest geopolitical catastrophe of the 20th century. And he has put that ideology in practice by threatening neighboring countries. Okay, so you can't just say that Europe is not under threat, except maybe you're living under a rock. So for him
So
to take that position at this
yeah.
time plays into the hands of European enemy. Go ahead.
I personally don't see Russia as an enemy. I don't think Putin has ambitions of taking over Russia. Russia spends, what is it? What, 98 billion on the military. How many citizens that Russia? Look, what Russia has? What, 100 million citizens? I forget the number. That Europe has 500 million. Like, what are we talking about? There were not enough Russian soldiers. The idea that Russia are trying to go to war, that's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy told to people to keep people hating on Russia. Why do people hate Russia? Well, Russia is a Christian nation that refuses to accept the liberal ideology. That's the real war. That's the real war. So it's a culture war. You know what I mean? Russia right now, and I have to verify this. I have to verify this, but as I understand, are welcoming conservatives to their nation. I have to verify that. Don't take that to the bank. I have to verify that. I'm a Christian conservative. Okay, I'm not a part of this neoliberal fucking world order. I think it's bullshit. Right? I'm an African born in England, Nigerian, Igbo man who believes in a whole plethora of things, right? I'm actually Africa first. But I take what and I see what Trump is doing with the America First policy,
That's
and
a
I see it as a
goddamn
blueprint.
lie.
Excuse me. The same way that Thomas Sankara, or we got Ibrahim Traore
Blasphemy.
right now in excuse me, I'm talking, bro. In Burkina Faso, putting his country first, right? I see that as a net positive. I don't understand why we tear people down for defending their national sovereignty. I don't understand that. As it pertains to Russia, I have a different point, maybe of an opinion to what happened between Ukraine and Russia from 2014 up until present day. That's maybe for another podcast. I don't think Russia's a threat. I think if anything, Germany's the fucking threat. Do you know what I mean? Ursula is hell bent. France, Macron is hell bent on going to war with Russia. Why? What kind of insanity is this? People in Germany are being locked up for posting things on Facebook. Russia in France has bigger fish to fry right now with its citizens. People are marching about. Oh, it's crazy, man. The point I'm trying to make is Russia's not a threat. I personally don't agree. So your mic is going crazy. Russia's not a threat. Russia's not a threat at all. Russia just wants what they want, and they'll leave Ukraine alone, right? the reason for NATO to exist. I don't even know if there's a point anymore. A lot of the European citizens, and you're one, given, granted, but from the people I speak to, mate, the political commentators I listen to, I can point to right now, mate, we don't want war with Russia. We respect what Russia's doing. They were defending their citizens from the Ukrainian Nazis who were killing them because they wanted to leave Ukraine. They annexed themselves off, and they're Russian speaking. So Vladimir Putin said, "These are my people." What? This idea that it's bullshit. That's the conspiracy. And I don't know how people don't see that, but it is what it is, man. I'm gonna leave you to it, guys. This has been a good podcast. So Jude, always a pleasure. Even though we disagree, it's good to speak to someone who
Thank you.
knows what he's
Yeah,
talking about.
I think you nailed it. You nailed it at the head. The crux of the matter here is if you believe that Russia is a threat, like most European countries do believe, then you take a different position. But if you believe that they are not, that Russia is not a threat, that explains your ideology, and that seems to be what Donald Trump is operating on. So that is a distinction there, okay? Because if Donald Trump believed that Russia is a threat, I'm quite sure he would have taken a different position.
That's a
But
fact.
obviously, he does not believe that Russia is a threat. Yeah, and our
No, Sir
allies in
Jude,
Europe,
you don't
who lives in
understand the
Europe,
art of
who
war,
has
man.
intelligence in Europe, who has a lot to lose in Europe, they all believe that Russia is a threat. So, you know what? I think America is standing alone the approach on that issue, and that's why we're having this problem. So we can leave it at that.
Yeah, you know
Last
what?
thing I'll say is this, and I'm
Russia is a
go on,
threat. Y'all
go on.
semi-correct, but y'all skewed in your assessment because y'all not assessing the whole thing holistically. Don't believe for a minute if Putin get backed into a corner that he won't become a threat from 0 to 100. And second of all, Russia is
But
not
that's a
necessarily
different thing, isn't it? That's a little bit different.
Russia is
Of
not
course, it's a different thing.
necessarily a Christian nation. It is a multicultural society, etc., and so forth. It's huge. You even have North Koreans. They're Russians, but they are North Koreans, etc., and so forth. You got Jews, you got Muslims. So I think this is the issue when we approach things from only one lens in terms of what we want things to be because we have the confirmation bias, which is quite unfortunate. Yeah, well learned and everything, but we gotta analyze different perceptions and perspective and take them for what they are, and then you make your own as well. But it doesn't mean that all of the others aren't valid because you don't agree with it. So I'll end my mic.
That's fine. This is why we have conversations. Otherwise, this space wouldn't exist because everybody would be on the same page. I think the problem is everybody doesn't like my views, and when I defend my views ferociously, people have a problem with that, and that's not a me problem. That's everybody else's fucking problem. I'm gonna give a Swedish, a Russian, a North Korean or South Korean fuck, right? But I'm not gonna back down for my idea. I will never back down. I will never back down. Never gonna happen, right? So we either have the conversation and we hash out our ideas and walk away respectfully, knowing that we have a difference of opinion, or we shut the fuck up. But I'm never gonna stop because I enjoy this. This is what I live for. The blood sport. I live for it. I live for it, right? So I get it. There was no need for the digs, but I mean, I take them on the chin. It's like work for me, bro. But but what I'm saying is, as it pertains to Vladimir Putin, he's an Orthodox Christian and thus considers his nation to be a Christian nation. And so, no matter whether he has Jews or Muslims, and forget the fact that Putin himself or Russians don't consider themselves to be white, which is an interesting thing that many people probably don't consider, right? They don't consider themselves to be white like the rest of the Europeans. It starts to and then if I continue saying what I was going to say, verge off into the realm of conspiracy, and I can see how allergic you are to that, right? So I'll leave that there. But no, I think it's been a great conversation, and I must retire because I have websites and apps to deliver in the morning. So have a great rest of your day, guys. Ciao.
All right, man. Sleep well.
I think Augustus smoking dope. Tell my Putin's not a threat.
I
Tell my
think you're
Putin's not.
smoking dope, my G.
Oh shit, he's still here. Yo, I thought he said good night. I gotta
Yeah,
start looking him
he
now.
lingers around to hear what anybody says.
Oh shit, I thought he left. I was like, yo, he's smoking dope.
Yeah,
Diana, you know what I'm saying?
Diane knows. I went around to see who has the balls to say it behind my back. You know what
Yo,
Wait,
I'm
but
saying?
Augustus,
I put it
Augustus,
in
you
the
wouldn't.
chat. I put it in the chat already.
Augustus, you didn't want to answer the poll. What are you? How do you identify? Republican, Democrat, Independent?
I
Those
identify as a
results
I
were crazy.
I identify as a
Yeah,
conservative.
what's your pronoun, Augustus?
Yeah, what do you
Yeah.
identify as?
Um. Uh. Um. No, there is no pronouns for me, man. I'm gonna say I'm God, but that's blasphemous after the day that Christ was risen. I'm a conservative. I'm not a Republican because Republicans are weak, pathetic. I'm a conservative.
So conservative. Okay.
That would have been a better poll. Are you a conservative? Are you a neoliberal? Are you a liberal, an independent, a libertarian, a classic liberal, a progressive, a maniac? Like you could have, you could have had a whole bunch.
Augustus, man. But once again, the pronoun. Look, man, listen to me, bro. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff, man. So, hey guys,
Wait,
listen to me.
wait. Oh,
This is debate.
sorry.
Huh?
No, so I was gonna say I knew there was no freaking National Conservative Party. Augustus, Republican, Democrat, Independent, or none.
No,
You have
he's
to
probably
pick.
talking about England. He's in the UK. He's from the UK. Remember?
And he speaks on all of our politics like this?
I speak on all politics.
Good Lord, we gotta have
You
that
guys
freaking
sitting here
room one of
arguing with
these days.
some guy that's from the UK.
This
That
is
was.
crazy shit.
Yo, he wasn't smart enough to stay in the UK. He ran back to Africa, getting chased by
Jonathan,
hyenas and shit.
Jonathan, do you know where you're from? Where you from? Do you
I'm
have
from
African
America.
lineage? Do you have any? Are you black?
Am I black?
Yeah, I don't
Damn,
know.
I'm
It's not.
No,
telling
no,
you, it
no, no.
gets
I'm
crazy after
pecan. I'm
10.
pecan.
Say that again. I couldn't hear what you're saying. The other person was
I'm
talking.
pecan.
You're pecan, okay, or Mexican. I don't even know
I'm
these days.
pecan.
You're pecan, okay. Got it.
So nah, he's a little confused. He's from the UK and he went to Africa looking for a better life. You know, and now he's trying. Uh, he probably got deported. But
I
but
tell you the truth.
but
I tell you the truth. I snuck in through the southern border a few months back. I lied about being in Africa. I've been taking taxpayer money, been paying $15,000 a month, getting free healthcare, and I'm staying in the Hilton. So yeah, shout out to the liberals like yourself who have enabled that. Big up Diana with a useful poll. But yeah, I don't know. Is this the first time we've spoken, Diana, or is this the third year that I've known you? That you know that I'm a British citizen, and you can probably tell by my accent. But you know, the American education system isn't what it was.
Listen, Augustus, we've been
Oh,
rocking for
good.
3 years and you've never changed, so I'm good with you 100%. I've always appreciated all of your feedback, and you are viral as hell, so I think Jonathan speaks as well. You know,
God
as long as
damn.
you follow these damn rules and not say shit that is on banned lists, you're
What,
good
like,
in my
buddy?
book.
I promise I won't say the word retarded again.
You fucking wild
More than
working
you
here,
just unplug the
Jonathan.
television. Where's the cord at for that TV? You unplug the TV. Put the clock.
Jonathan, you're
We
on.
can hear you.
You're mute out.
My little one just came to my bedroom and unplugged my television.
It's time for bed.
They're trying to change your mental diet. It's obviously not what it's supposed to be, bro. You're watching too much CNN.
Go get that REM sleep,
It's
Jonathan.
rotting your brain, bro. Pronouns. The fuck?
Yeah. Anyway, guys. Yeah. So anyway, nah, guys. Augustus, listen to me, man. I don't know why you would leave the UK to go to Africa, bro.
What do you think? What see, this is the interesting. So, do you think that Africa was a developed continent, or do you think it's underdeveloped? And do you think that the United Kingdom or England, where I was stationed, is more developed, and how? I won't even waste my time waiting for a response. The United Kingdom right now is an occupied set of countries. England is a fucking third world country. People are being locked up. The same things that you're protesting for, or having the protesting for, the same things that you are protesting to be able to do, or at least you think Donald Trump is doing, are the same things that are happening to my people. People are being locked up without due process. People are being locked up for speaking up against sexual abuse of their women. Huh? Right? This is happening in the United Kingdom. And it was happening before I even left. I left because I had enough of being in a country that I really don't want to fight for anymore. Okay? I'm West African. Why the fuck would I not go back to West Africa if I can see there are people fighting for West Africans? I went to be amongst my people and not to be in close proximity to whiteness, as my black American brethren would say. I'm actually about my life. I'm actually doing the thing. So yeah, you're not doing it right. Me leaving England is a better choice for me, considering the fact that I am black African, not American, not European, but African from Nigeria. That's where I am right now, West Africa, baby. So you
Man,
can,
you got a British accent.
well, the British accent works, my son, as
That's
opposed
what I
to that.
try to tell you. That you talk about
Well,
you West African. You're not
hold
West
on,
African. You're British.
hold on. Once again, hold on. Once again, guys, we got our British correspondent, Augustus. But like, am I doing your impression? Is this a good impersonation of you, buddy? Once again, guys. And that's the laugh.
Wait, are you talking and making your own sound effects too at the same time?
Yes, he is.
That was Jonathan, but I'm pretty sure if your eyes are working, you'll see
No,
the thing come up.
I'm not looking at the freaking stage.
Look at the stage, then, lady. What are you doing?
No,
Like,
bro. No.
fucking hell.
Oh my God,
He's
you
getting
copied
it.
his fuck. You're fucked, Augustus.
I'm not. He's the third person this week, and it's only Tuesday, so I'm going
you
viral.
know, guys. So, anyway, no, Augustus, guys, listen to me. Now, Augustus is real. He's a trooper. He's been doing it for years, man. He's been doing it for years.
Yeah,
But
that's my brother right
this
there, man.
guy, I don't know why he's so much into American politics. I'm like, what the hell? He knows his American politics. He knows it. So, but with that being said, um, Diana, I mean, yeah, Augustus. All right, hold up.
Someone get
England is
Chirac.
England. England is England. Uh, Great Britain is England, Scotland, and
Wales,
Wales, and then UK is Ireland, right?
North Island.
North Ireland.
Yeah,
So the UK includes North Ireland.
that's correct.
So Great Britain is three country, and UK is four countries.
The United Kingdom is for.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that? Or you guys don't just say cute or mute?
I did.
Who's that? Tammy?
That's Tammy. Well, we're Canadian. We all know that here.
What's that? That Great Britain, guys. England is one country. Great Britain
Yep.
is three, and the UK is four.
Well, you have Welsh, right? Wales. They're like a separate country. That's in the middle of England. People don't know that.
All right, so CH, here we go, guys. Once again, a text, fans. Uh, Dim's go crazy. Yep, Dim's. So yeah, once again, guys. Donald Trump attacked Jerome Powell, basically called him slowpoke, and pretty much uh, responded in a way that made people feel like there were gave uncertainty in the market. Market dipped. Skull, are you there? Do you know? Or do you see the futures? Are the futures going? And what's going on with the other markets? Is the Asian market open?
Futures are green, Jonathan.
Yeah, things are actually looking pretty green overnight here. Oh, Ravi, why did everybody get loud all of a sudden? I don't know. Anyway, futures are looking pretty green overnight. We've got, let's see here.
They're gonna
Dixie
be
is
green when
still,
Tesla come out.
it comes out after hours. So after, like, tomorrow evening, after the market closes. However, the Dixie is still trending down, though it's on a little bit of an uptick since we went over to the next day, which is obviously the dollar strength. Futures are slightly green. Other than that, another thing that's happened is the China reverse repo rate came in at 220 billion for this month, which is moderating compared to its previous reverse repos. This is the Chinese central bank injecting liquidity into their market. They've been facing a little bit of a liquidity crisis over the last several months. However, they are now investing less and less in these reverse repos. So it appears to be that whatever liquidity crisis they were addressing is beginning to moderate and assumably being managed. So that's it.
Skull, I have a question for you. The Russian economy, has it gotten better since Trump been in office, or has it worsened?
I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, there's certainly, there's certainly quite a bit of damage that has been done by the ongoing war, of course. So I mean, that's sort of hard to say from that perspective. From a currency exchange perspective, literally from Trump's inauguration on, it's been very good for the ruble. So it looked like up until January 20th, it looked like their currency might actually fully collapse, and now all of a sudden, it's all the way back to a little bit where it was before the war in Ukraine. So they're doing well there. As for how well they're weathering, a wartime economy, that's a different matter.
I have a question for you. It's called, I remember they reported something that Germany was really relying on energy from Russia, and other countries were trying not to, but Germany was. And like, do you know? Are you familiar? Like, do you remember something like that a couple months ago
Yeah,
about the?
so basically they get quite a bit. Europe was getting quite a bit of it's natural gas from pipelines.
Yeah, yeah, it was pipelines. Yeah, yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Go on, go on.
So and they had been. I mean, basically Russia has been heating Europe for like the last probably 20 years or something like that, right? So it was very challenging for European countries to break away from this reliance on Russian gas, right? So before the war, broke out in Ukraine, about 65% of Russia's gas came, or 65% of Germany's gas was imported from Russia. Over time, they've been reducing that, and so where we're at now, they're now sourcing it from less and less and less from the Nord Stream, right? Which is these kind of pipelines, and YAML, which is another pipeline that we're talking about, and they're sourcing a lot more of it from liquid natural gas, which are things like, even from America, is, filling ships with liquid natural gas and shipping them to LNG ports in Europe. There's Norway pipelines, there's the Turkey transit line, Libya, and Algeria that have all picked up a little bit of that slack. As of right now, it looks like, give me one second, 14% still comes from Russia. So there is, right. So there is still a reliance on that, right? So still 14% of that is coming out of Russia, but it's dramatically reduced.
Oh, okay. Because only I do remember a couple of months that Europe was like really relying on them, and Germany was like the one country that was like kind of like really holding on longer than the other countries in Europe, and so what happened is because Canada's trying to like look for new allies or new uh, countries to sell their energy, and then apparently, well, that's the big thing that they want to do a transatlantic, like another pipeline through Canada, but Quebec is all pissed off. They don't want that because, and I think so. There have been ships from the east coast of Canada shipping energy because again they're trying to spread their new like into Europe. Uh, so that was like one thing that was like they were talking about and about another pipeline, which some of them want, some of them don't want. And it's really Quebec that doesn't want it to go through. But I think they did already, like two ships had gone out because they're trying to like export it to Europe and they're trying to move away from Russia, something like that. So I was just wondering where that was at because it'd been a while since I'd heard about anything like that. That's all. But thank you, Scald, and hi, Diana. How are you? Oye, pollo locos. Anybody out there? Wow, it's 1:30. 1:30. Okay. But yeah, that's all.
Really exacerbated Germany's reliance on natural gas is they made the decision to spin down their nuclear reactors,
Why?
even as their even as their energy future looked increasingly uncertain. I don't really understand this move. I do understand like the danger and the fear that people have surrounding nuclear reactors, but you know, I mean, each version of reactors is safer than the previous, right? So I mean, the kind of reactors they're running like Gen 3 and some Gen 4 like reactors, they're much safer than like the Gen 2s and Gen 1s that were like 3 Mile Island or Chernobyl. They're just much more safe. So I mean, I think it's pretty wild that Germany, made the decision to turn off those nuclear reactors, knowing that they would then have to rely on Russia for energy needs.
That's where the United States come into play. I guess everyone thought they can rely on us as well if everything went bad. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
Well, we
Yeah,
certainly have a substantial LNG fleet, right? And we have just huge natural gas reserves. I mean, there was that field, or was that Georgia? I think it was. It was so large they actually stopped exploring it. Like there was literally so much natural gas in it that they actually were like it was starting to affect like the asset price. They were finding so much of it. They're like, you know what, we're just going to stop exploring it. We'll just say that this field has like enough. Because like had they like fully surveyed it, and there's more than one deposit like that here in America, where it's like there is so much natural gas here in this country that if we fully surveyed it, it would probably actually decrease the price. No, just knowing how much is in the earth here. So we certainly have that in spades, and we can certainly ship it over to them if they need it.
Do you think we're gonna need it because we're heading towards fusion energy right now, right?
Well, I think there's also like solar. I mean, we're a little bit behind on that. China's ahead of us in solar technology, but we
But
are.
fusion, we're ahead on fusion energy though.
Quantum as well.
Yeah, we're always a couple years away from fusion energy. We've been a couple years away since 1975, so it'll
Yeah,
be
but
here in a
but
couple
but
years.
but 2023 was the first year we actually got more energy than we put in, and so they cracked that one. They finally cracked it.
Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, a positive energy fusion reaction is good stuff. But how far away that is, right? I mean, now we know it's experimentally possible as opposed to just theoretically possible, which is great. Um,
Which energy is that
fusion,
you're talking about?
fusion. So I don't know how far away we are from like commercialized fusion operations. I know right now China's solar cells, the ones they're shipping right now internally, have a 38% efficiency rate, which is just incredible, right? I mean, if you can convert 38% of the sun's energy hitting a square foot, I mean, that's a phenomenal amount of energy. To put it into perspective, like total solar irradiance across the globe, all of humanity's energy needs for 2024 would be met within the first 3.5 hours of January 1. Like literally less than like the Lord of the Rings extended edition, just the first movie, right? That would power our power needs for an entire calendar year if we could harvest that, right? So solar is just this ungodly power source. I mean, it's just so much energy we can't even imagine, and we're now getting cells that have like a 38% efficiency, or at least China's getting those cells. Our solar cells are much less efficient. We're behind in that technology compared to China.
Because I don't know why you guys would be only because here when you go out to farmland, country land,
There's no solar up there in Canada.
yeah, there's so tons on the
No, it's
roofs.
not.
Yeah, on the barns. I'm telling you, on the barns and everything. Because see, this is the thing. The panels are very expensive, right? We know a couple that they purchased it, and they're like, "Oh, my energy bill costs so so." Yeah, but if you had to spend $50,000, you had to put it up front. You're only going to see the savings is after you've paid that 50,000, and then like maybe your kids or the next person who owns that property will really gain because you still have to put a lot. That's what's keeping a lot of people here from, like for us. I would love to use solar panel, but my husband's like, no, 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 it's too expensive. But then again, like there was a part of Ontario where you're on the highway and you'll drive and you will see all these solar panels to the point that our premier Ford, he had to dump, and everyone's like, why dump it? Because it costs money to um, preserve it, and they had to dump all the solar energy. That's how much energy. And it's like, it's not the falls, it's not the water, the electrical energy. It was solar. And you see these huge panels in fields. And, they screw us with this delivery charge, Oh, that's like $50, and that's been the big thing here, where you got to pay for this delivery charge. However, you still will see out in the fields, out in the farm, they'll put solar energy like panels everywhere. So it's kind of a thing here. The windmills, not so much, but it's the solar panels. But it's just that they're so expensive, and this is why we don't bother. But if we did, you would save a lot on your bill. But yeah, so solar energy. I mean, we're using it here, but it's just expensive to get those panels. So, but I'm very sure, like, I mean, the United States has a lot of land where it's open land, and they somewhere they must have solar panels. And
Well,
like,
we do, but we don't have a solar industry like China. We're nowhere close to it. No,
so
not
they're
even
really
close.
advanced in this then, because
Incredibly.
I had
Every
no idea.
24 hours, China has the same amount of solar installed as a full-on nuclear power plant coming online.
Wow, that's a lot.
So yeah, so China, it's like China's building a nuclear power plant every day. Is how much solar installs they're doing right now. It's insane. It's absolutely staggering. Um, and it's like, there are certain areas I'm very confident that we will defeat China in the trade war. Energy is not necessarily one of them. Now, the downside of China being China is they have zero oil. And I don't mean like they don't have a lot. They only have a couple wells. I mean they have like zero. They have like no oil in their entire country. They have to import like all of their freaking oil. So that's a problem because engines run on oil and planes run on oil and the economy runs on oil. So they're doing their best to electrify and through solar, but at the same time they do have this Achilles heel, right? Which prior to the completion of the second pipeline that goes across, I think it was Kazakhstan. You guys can look it up. I don't know, but they completed another pipeline. But before that was completed, if we had barricaded the Strait of Malacca, China would have completely imploded in 8 weeks. Now that that second pipeline has been completed, if the U.S. Navy put up a blockade on the Straits of Malacca in like about 3 or 4 months, China would be completely out of oil, which means like they wouldn't be able to deliver food to their stores, right? They wouldn't be able to. I mean, just an entire modern economies run on oil, folks. So I
Sorry,
mean,
say that again. Say that again, Scold. I missed that bit because you went out of thing. If what? If China? If America put up what?
if America blockaded the Straits of Malacca, China would run out of oil in about 4 months now. Which is it gives them a little bit more time than they had before, which is only like 2 months. But still, like literally, their entire economy would grind to a complete halt. I mean, they would not be able to function as a modern economy because they wouldn't have oil, and economies run on oil at this point. So that's why they're so fanatical about these pipelines, and they're so fanatical about installing solar. They are like desperately trying to break their reliance on oil because they just don't have any oil. They don't have any.
No, that's not true, bro. That's not true.
Oh,
They
it's
just
big
found
true,
a
brother.
major
It's big
oil
true.
field in South China Sea, and it's just the same with gold. They steady finding new deposits. So that's all data, but I get it. I mean, if you want to, I can look it up and read. They found it in March or something along those lines, if I recall correctly. I couldn't get off
What are you saying? That
the mic right away, but
China found oil?
yeah, a huge
Yeah,
oil
yeah. I
deposit.
did hear some reports about that.
Yeah, it's a little
I
while
did hear
ago.
that.
So
Yeah,
so wait, they
and they
found it
found
in
gold,
March of
and
this year.
this
So
year.
like 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
What was the question again, sir?
So basically, you're both right because what I don't know what your name is, but what you're saying is that it's a recent find that basically doesn't disprove his point because he's speaking in the broader point. I don't know
Oh
how to
no,
pronounce
I
it.
get that.
So, but you're saying recently it's changed. So maybe they are going to change the direction, but it's still a good hedge against everything. In that you would install solar in case shit. You know what I'm trying to say? In case. You know what I mean? What would happen if there was another outbreak? God forbid. I will tell you what. Let's not even entertain that, right? But yeah, I think it's a good hedge to install solar. But if they found another, if they found oil, then of course they're gonna be kind of fine for the foreseeable future if everything runs off of oil. But I think you're both right because we were about to get into a
Yeah,
contest there. I
I
can
got
see
the
it.
data now. 100 million tons, and it's exceeding 100 million tons, and it's proven. So it's not up for debate, yet they haven't, I grant him that they're not able to distract it just yet, but we know how China moves. They don't really have restrictions like other countries, so if they need to get that platform up, you know, they will try to do it, But I get it. It takes time, My brother works in the oil industry, so yeah. I just wanted to throw that, curveball in there.
Yeah, see,
Oh
I was
wait,
wondering.
so yeah, I want to ask a question. I'll clarify. You saying
Sure.
China just recently found oil? Is that what you're saying?
Was that Jonathan? 100% Jonathan. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yes. Yes.
100%. Watch this. China discovers major oil field in South China Sea, Shenzhen, March 31, 31st, the 31st. Yeah, whatever, man. I can't even say it. The China National Offshore Oil Corporation announced on Monday that it has discovered a major oil field in eastern South China Sea with proven reserves exceeding 100 million tons. And yeah, it's and the source is from English Gov CN. I can put the link in the chat if you guys like.
Yeah, that's
China
important to
is a
know the
problem
source.
right now.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's probably propaganda because they knew this was going into a trade war.
That's right. That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
the English are saying it's proven.
Shenzhen is not under China. Yes, Shenzhen is still fighting for independence in
Oh,
China,
here
just
we
like
go. Here
Taiwan.
we go. Here we go. Here we go with that.
What do you mean that you go?
I mean,
I mean, it's a part of
why,
China, but
I
why,
but they
I
have the
why,
same
think
problem that we have
why
with
are
Taiwan.
y'all in
There are two
Asia?
territories that are fighting for independence
You asked me a
from China,
question, but
Shenzhen
okay,
and
carry
Taiwan.
on. Why are y'all in China and Asia's business? You see,
Wait,
when you turn when
explain to me.
can I
I'm
can I
sorry.
can I
What did
land?
you say that?
Can I
What did
land?
you say that
Can I
reserve was
land?
again?
Can I land?
How much?
Can I land? Okay, you got a question. I'm gonna give it to you. What was the question?
Yeah. What did you say that reserve was again?
100 million tons, exceeding 100 million tons.
Oh my God, dude, that's 733 million barrels of oil. That would last China 44.5 days at their current rate of consumption.
Yeah, I mean, you can just
That's
like,
nothing, dude. That is nothing. That
can
gives
you,
them a month of oil, bro. That
oh,
is
don't,
literally
can you stop
like
going off and stop
it
screaming? Stop
struck me.
screaming.
I thought you were saying like bear. No, dude, that is like not. That is nothing.
Listen,
That is literally less. I mean, it's not even 2 months worth of oil
They,
for the
okay, cool,
economy
cool,
of
cool,
China.
cool. I hear it. I hear it. But watch this. They might find more. No? Yeah, exactly. At least there's oil there. That's the point.
You got sorry, mate. You fell into the trap there, buddy. The clubhouse. You fell in.
Yeah, yeah, if you say so. If you say so.
You baited me,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
He
I
baited me,
know we
bro.
want to bait.
He
I know
baited
we
me,
want to
though.
bait.
Come on, man. You gotta admit it. Like
Yeah, but it's cool.
yeah.
I don't care. I don't play these little tricks for clout. I don't care. I just let people play the circus. That's him. If he wants to do that, I don't care. I'm
No, but
just
I
saying.
mean, no, but but like the gracious thing to do would be like, yeah, cool, okay, cool, maybe you got a point because it's you can't argue with the point, and you could maybe
I
present your
didn't argue.
argument
I
with a
didn't
strategy though.
argue with the point,
So
man. He's
no,
just
I get it. No,
he's
I'm not even trying to come at you. I'm just saying
yeah,
it's all
he's
up.
just nitpicking. The only thing I did was provide that they actually have oil. You know, that's it.
Okay, can someone explain? Because I once did this search on Who about the polluted countries, and I mean, top well, the first 100 countries. There's so many cities, so many places in China that were reported as the highly polluted countries. Like one of them was Mexico City, Buenos Aires, Argentina. Other than that, most of them were like all these places in China, and due to the coal that they use. And then prior to COVID and everything, and I see it here, is that people, especially Asians, and I gotta believe maybe Chinese, they would always wear masks, right? And people would say, "Why are they using masks?" Like we didn't understand. When I did that study and read this, I go, "Well, that's why," and because it's so polluted, factories and everything like that. So they were wearing these masks because in their country, like, and the news and everything. I mean, this is like it's always been something of a problem that it's so polluted that you can't even see through. Like it's actual smog where these many countries, I mean, many cities in China, because of their factories, everything that they export. So if they have smog, I mean, smog comes from oil, I got to believe, not from solar energy. So it was that the push for solar energy to clear that polluted air because it was really bad. And
So,
now I understand why they would wear these masks because they were coming
so,
from a country.
it's cool. I want. All right. So, because I'm looking at, I saw that too. It's only 100 million tons of oil, and so Skull, you said that's about 40 something days worth of oil for them. Skull, are you there? Skull's no longer there, is he? All right. All right. No, he's no longer there. All right. No, guys, I didn't know that China was so polluted. I didn't know that China was as polluted as you guys are saying.
To go on the WHO site, and it goes. You can search for it where things like that. Like I was looking to see the polluted countries in the world, the highest cities or places, and I was surprised, and it made sense. I don't know if you've seen like Asian people wear masks. Like I'm talking about way before COVID.
Yeah.
Like it was a thing.
No, absolutely. I was in Beijing a little before COVID, and I remember seeing a bride with the mask on, and I was thinking, well, shit, should I have a mask on too? They were taking, wedding photographs, and I was like, wow, that's pretty messed up that the bride has on a mask.
Well, Augustus, I mean, well, in Africa, they wear a mask all the damn time too, because they don't have any um, regulations over there either.
That's patently false. But had you graduated high school, you might have known that that was bullshit. But here we go.
Yeah, I call BS on that one. And saying Africa has to do this is very,
No, no, no,
very
no.
generic.
Let him think Africa's a country. That's for
Like,
me.
what are we talking about here?
Now,
Yeah,
Africa is
but
not a
one
country, bro.
thing that a food for thought,
It's
if
a
you want,
continent.
if you
How
want,
many countries are there in Africa?
hey,
I don't
now
know
you're
what,
gonna do the
47?
test.
How many?
No, chat GBT it, bro. Come on, man.
Now, see, you don't even know, and you laughing.
Oh, okay. That's what that means, yeah.
What do you mean? I don't
That's
know,
what
or
that
he doesn't
means.
know?
No, he doesn't know. Obviously,
Hey,
you sound like you're East
No,
African
he
or
doesn't know. He would
Gucci.
have told me.
yeah,
He
It's
would have
right.
told
50,
me.
bro. It's 50, bro. But I'm
Obviously.
saying that you.
Oh, it's not 50. Now I know you're lying.
Okay.
Now I know you're lying. Because it wouldn't be
47.
that 50 on the nose. See, because what I do is I know about fraud.
Ah.
So now I know
So,
you're
so,
lying.
so,
Okay.
who's faking the funk?
Okay.
47.
It's 54.
It's 47, bro.
It's
47?
54.
What are you talking about? It's 54, bro. He's
No,
correct.
I know. I'm trying to bait Jonathan
Oh,
into
okay.
Nah, he said 50.
You
Nah, nah, nah,
tweaking.
nah.
It's 54 and counting.
Hey,
So, but
what's the youngest one?
let's
Come on,
see.
it's the youngest country in the world.
South Sudan.
I said it last. Exactly. I guess I said it last night. I said it last night.
What are you
What did you
talking
say? What?
about?
What's happening? I don't know. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
South
Youngest
Sudan.
country in the world. The youngest country in Africa.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's also the youngest country in the world.
But
Okay.
Jonathan, don't you think it's interesting that a lot of people are complaining about the smog and everything, but yet they want all those uh, um, manufacturing, they want the manufacturing over in America? What do you think is going to happen then? Don't you think there's going to come a lot of pollution too? Or you think the pollution is just because of the cars?
The pollution is because there's no regulations.
Yeah, well, if you're going to catch up,
That's right.
that's how you got to go about it. You can't be lagging if you want to catch up to air quote
Yeah.
your enemy. Yeah, that's why they. I mean, go and look on Google China 40 years ago and now. It is a remarkable story, nonetheless. I know it's a tough pill to
Yeah.
swallow. I'm not caping for them. I just give credit where credit is due to a certain extent.
So Trump just imposed a 3,521% tariff on solar panels coming out of Cambodia. A
When did he do
three
that?
an hour ago. Meanwhile, Vietnamese companies now face a 395% tariff on their solar panels. Thailand a 375% tariff, and Malaysia a 34% tariff. Man, it's like they forgot a
Damn.
decimal place on Malaysia. I guess. Holy.
Wow. Like they're moving fast.
But again, this is like, like I said, like, a lot of these countries are importing their solar panels from China, and China is making just objectively better solar panels than the United States right now.
Man.
Hey,
Man,
you know
oh
why I was.
man.
Oh, sorry, bro. Yo, you know why I was giving you pushback earlier, Ugg? Is because little do you know, for all we know, he might be the agent that you were speaking about. But you so trustful of the guy, and I suspect a little, I'm not trying to throw a jab now, but like, what do you call it? Idol worship ish, that like the things he's doing, it just seems very peculiar and like I see him as if he's trying to, you know, ruin the whole country. I mean, long term, if he executed all of his plans in the correct manner, it would be good, but this way is not the way, man. I mean, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But yeah.
Well, Africa, they need to guess they need to get this shit together because they have all the resources in the world, the natural resources in the world, and everyone is harvesting it, but themselves. You got the Chinese, you had the Americans, you had everyone else over there harvesting their the natural resources. Every natural resource you can think of, you can find in Africa, damn near.
Hey, Jonathan, let me give you another data
Problem
point, right?
is,
Hey, listen,
No,
we
go for
on
it.
it, man. We on it. Do you know that Nvidia chips is coming to Africa now? Africa is getting those chips, man. And the region of South Africa is getting those chips. So now you have, and I'm not talking about the country, right? And you have this billionaire who's doing the funding, and he's looking for investors. There's
What's
opportunities
his name?
there. We could talk later, but y'all can just
Yeah,
look it
yeah,
up.
yeah. Get at me, bro,
Bro,
because that's
I,
something we
I
need to
was
talk
just
about.
like trying to be brotherly right now, just to be honest with y'all, man. Usually I don't give up the
Huh?
goods like that. But
Say that again. What?
no, it's just like, yeah, bro, there's money to be made in Africa, honestly, man.
100%.
We on the come up,
1,000%.
one way or
Yeah,
another.
but at what expense? Because they're mining. And yes, Chinese companies are in there mining. But at what expense?
Why, why,
Because
are,
when you mine, you're polluting as
why are you
well.
focused on the
And you're polluting
Chinese?
their waters,
What are the
which
Americans
for
doing?
these people to drink. Like, I mean, that's a problem.
Yeah, I
Like,
hear
yeah,
you.
there's money to be made, but at what cost? At the locals?
Please stop. I don't know
Like,
why you're trying to mention Chinese. You might as well mention the Americans if you have
n-
introspection.
no, no, no.
The, the,
Okay, maybe I'm not aware of the Americans, but I am aware
I'm gonna
that
give you one talk.
the
I'm gonna give you one quick data point. That's why I came off the mic. Sorry for interjecting, ma'am.
no, no
But
problem. Go ahead.
but the thing is, Supreme Court found those who are extracting resources and minerals from Africa not guilty in terms of child exploitation and all of this. There was like that's the local government's problem. So I think it's really weird when I hear people doing the same thing, trying. It's like you're trying to pit us against each other. We know better now, right? So yeah, we're just gonna pick the ones we want to pick, honestly. We don't need, respectfully, we will love advice, come and work with us, sit at the table on equal footing, but we don't need anyone to tell us who our enemies are.
No, but what I was
China is an enemy of America. Oh, sorry, of Africa, African nations. I'm concerned that African leaders are swapping the Western colonial powers for the Eastern soft colonial powers. At least their strategy is it's different, but it's somewhat familiar. Only the Chinese will not come and assassinate our leaders or enact kinetic warfare. I think again, the leaders that we have are so fucking corrupt. It's tiring. It's tiring hearing ignorant people think Africa to be a poor place. Africa depends number one what country, and even that country has rich parts and poor parts. I mean, same with America, same with England, same with Scotland, same with Wales, same with Ireland. It's the same fucking shit in the West. The problem is to kind of sort of move away. The real problem is there are so many innovations that have been discussed. There are so many innovations that are waiting to be put on the market. Right, there's so many things that have been figured out to enable humanity to live prosperously. Right, but the only I think I there's this issue, globalism. I think globalism could be a good thing, but I think the people who are trying to lead globalism are not necessarily the best people. In fact, they're kind of demonic, right? They worship and they perform the most grotesque sex acts on, and then so on and so forth. I'll let your imagination go with it will, right? As a consequence, these same individuals hold all of the patents to all of the technology that will free humanity to live a highly prosperous existence. But we can't have access to that because we have to be subjected to capitalism and working 9 to 5. And obviously, AI is going to change that. Is the idea? We reach the singularity when we get AGI. When we reach AGI, the idea is that everything will shift. And right now, we're seeing a massive war between China and America. There was a company called DeepSeek who claimed that, you know what, I'm not even going to touch that. That's another fucking conversation. The point I'm trying to make is we could be living, uh, everybody having free energy is the idea, singing kumbaya, nobody has to work, and the machines toil the land, right? But in order for that to happen, there has to be a kind of change in the governance. There has to be a change in the philosophy. There has to be a change in the way we do everything. Free energy affords people what? The capacity to wipe each other out in a whim, right? Not having to work robs people of their purpose. What happens as a consequence of having an overabundance of access to everything? People become fat, slow, and the species no longer exists, right? There was a test they did with rats and cocaine, and it was really weird, right? You just go and look into that. The point I'm trying to make is we can't actually get to that point without it being controlled. And I understand that. I actually thought about that, and I thought, well, if I was in control of the world, what would need to happen? And, it goes down some very dark paths. But right now, we're living in a time where the people who hold all of the patents, that have that have the access to the technology, don't want to have that given to the masses because we would more likely kill ourselves, right? Africa is in such a fucking early stage, infantile stage, because of the Western colonial powers have had their proverbial foot on our neck. There are individuals right now who have discovered. There's an individual in Zimbabwe who has discovered. You should listen to his story. Discovered a way to harness the natural energy in these what has been described by some as the ether, the atmosphere. Right? He says he had visions from God. He's built a television that runs on this free energy, a car, I think a helicopter. He's thus being poisoned twice. I think he went to America and he was poisoned twice in America. There was an individual, Aaron Salter. He developed an engine that ran on water. He was killed by a mass shooter. He was a security guard. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. Then there were a plethora of people who have developed so-called free energy devices, but they've all subsequently died, which is, you can say, conspiratorial. And I say, is it? The point I'm trying to make is Africa has the opportunity to rise up, but Africa can't be seen to rise up because we, like you say, have access to all of the fucking resources. A lot of our smartest people are drawn the brains are drained from these African nations and enticed to the West. I don't want that anymore. I'm actually putting together a policy called. I've actually put it together. It's fucking some of my greatest written work, right? Aided by AI to kind of give it that extra polish, right? Recently, as far as 2 days ago, where we should repatriate all African people back to the continent. We should educate people. We should give special access to education. We need to have a fund. We need to get access to these NVIDIA chips. We'll start developing our own chips so that we can develop our own LLMs, so that we can develop our own forms of artificial intelligence and actually thrive as a united continent. And I'm cutting out a lot of the things that I want to say, but because it would really be a long spiel. All I'm trying to say is there is a plan, and there are a series of people around the planet that want the same thing, and I've been collecting them, right? So to the brother who was speaking before, we need to actually talk. I know we get at it, that's fine. I'm not, I mean, some of my greatest friends were once my greatest enemies, right? So I'm not really opposed to that, but I need to find those people, bro, because I want to see Jonathan's point. Africa fucking build up it's built itself up because, like you said, we have access to all of the resources. And yes, Tammy, you're correct. Mining, so on and so forth, it does start to affect the locals, right? But if there is proper infrastructure in place, proper investment by Africans, investing in Africans, then that changes the game, right? We then get to raise the living standards of the African people the same way that fucking China raised the living standard. They lifted, what is it, 830 million people out of abject poverty in the past 3 decades. That's impressive. Now give us the opportunity. And you know what? I'm not even asking. We're taking it.
No,
We're
yeah,
taking
we
it, bro. I'm
taking
not
it. I
asking.
was about to say
We're
that, bro. We
taking it.
taking that shit.
We're taking it, bro. So I'm Africa first. I'm making Africa great again. This is you people don't know who you're talking to, bruv. The point I'm trying to make is yes, everybody's correct, but I'm not here for the excuses anymore. This is why I'm in Africa, Jonathan. Nobody ran, Nobody fucking ran away. I ran towards. That's the difference. You understand? Now I'm really
Hey,
getting off.
one quick comment, Og. You know, one thing that we need to address is the school system down there. And the thing is, pertaining to the brain drain, it's inorganic. Because what they did, right, they took out tertiary education and secondary education out of circulation. So you mainly got primary educations in terms of that's what's the focus when it comes to public learning, right? And of course, you have private schools, but everyone doesn't, have the money for private schools. And that was a part of the plan. And then, Asia was supposed to be the peasant producers, not manufacturers that own their own corporations and so forth. And that kind of tipped the scales. And then, the West and the Westerners were supposed to be the innovators. That was the plan. And it's kind of, it changed. So we must seize the opportunity and hopefully, folks want to work together rather than, everything doesn't need to be a negative competition. But it is in this paradigm, right? Like positive competition is good, right? You're trying to, up one, but it's not like all of this stuff that's going on. Because there's plenty out there, right? You don't need to leave a whole continent. But the thing is, we have to do it ourselves. We're not asking. Uh, we just need to institute certain things and get those puppet leaders out of there because they compromised. And let's go.
Compromised, man. It's
Let's
such a
go.
shame.
Let's
It's such a shame,
effing
bro.
go. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at. That's where I'm at. So, yeah, and there's a lot of possibilities, and there's a lot of countries that are doing good things. But I'm not in the business of telling everyone anymore, man, because I'm not
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
for
I get that.
validation, bro.
Are you are you from West Africa or East Africa?
West Africa.
I know you are. You're Mr. Bully, right?
I'm bull.
Bull.
Yeah, I'm bull.
Tudo reto?
Yeah, tá bom. E você?
Ok.
Ô maneira.
But but como se diz?
So
Sorry,
now
bro.
you know me. No, I'm not gonna drag that shit, bro.
I know
We
exactly who
always
you
go
are,
back and
bro.
forth like that, bro.
Yeah, I know you are, bro.
You had a pleasant. You never got to tell me how the visit was, man.
Still here, bro. Best time of
Oh,
my life.
I know you found your resting place. I was just checking.
This place is epic. This
I'm
place is
coming too,
epic, man.
bro. Very shortly. I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
stacking and
Facts.
waiting for the catalyst, bro. I'm
Yeah,
coming,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. Do that, bruv. The continent needs you,
100%,
mate.
man.
We need more fucking
100%.
warriors, man.
And
Hundred
and, and,
percent.
and and you know over there, amongst other places, just
Go on.
imagine that we can, institute tech fairs because
Yeah.
that's the go-to right now, and that's that little pocket that all of us have that we should have been exploiting, but we ain't been ready. So, you know, but nonetheless, it's never too late. So, yeah, we just gotta, gather ourselves together because that's what it is about,
100%, bro.
It's not about
100%.
that we as individuals are so smart and special and all of this stuff. It's about organizing,
Yeah.
getting on the same wavelength, vibration and frequency in order to institute and consolidate on one thought. And once we do that, you can do amazing things like the autumn bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And you can even source people from other nations. They'll come and
Uh-huh.
help. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
And it's going to be ups and downs, but yeah, man, it's not how you fall, it's how you get up and how fast. So it is what it is,
100%, bro.
bro. It is time. And I think a lot of people, one thing I want to say, oftentimes when I speak about America or China, I'm speaking about the government. I'm not speaking about the people. I love peoples from all walks of life. Just know that from the record. I'll put that on the record. What was that, sir?
No, sorry, my YouTube started playing.
Oh, no, no worries, no worries. Yeah, man. I just got to shop a little bit. But yeah, great end of the conversation, bro. I'll be here. I'll be here.
Most def,
Hey, hey, so
most definitely. Yeah.
you actually learning Creole now.
African
But falar
problem.
crioulo, porra. But compreender?
Eu falo um pouco.
Poxa,
Eu falo,
Well,
but I
which
speak,
language
but I
you guys
speak.
speaking?
god damn it.
I'm speaking Portuguese. He's
No, no, no,
speaking
no,
Creole.
not god damn it. God bless it, bro. This is a blessing. You see,
Oh.
this is one of the brothers that actually went over there and learned the language. Most people, they
Of
come there,
course.
they find everything beautiful and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you're
then,
in
the
Angola then?
language kind of stopped them. Sir Jude, it's Creole,
Yeah.
the longest living
Real.
Creole language in the world.
So you're in Angola, aren't you?
Okay.
I'm not in Angola. I'm not.
Not you, but the other guy on Clubhouse.
Oh no, I'm in
Clubhouse.
Northern Europe.
August,
You must
I'm in
be,
Northern
because that's
Europe
where they
right
speak
now.
Portuguese.
I wouldn't call it
No,
Portuguese.
I speak
Augustus, can you speak any
Portuguese.
African? Can you speak any African language, Augustus?
No, I can speak a bit of Igbo. I'm actually developing an app to teach myself Igbo, Swahili,
Ke-
and
Kedu?
yeah,
Kedu?
I'm no, no, I'm a failure, bruv. I am a failure. It's fine. You can cuss me out as much as you like, in that respects.
No.
But so I don't understand what you're
No
saying.
need to curse you.
No, but I
Okay.
speak
I
I speak
just
a bit.
greeted you in Igbo. I just greeted you in Igbo.
I
I
wouldn't know
just
how to
said
respond, but
Kedu, which is how are you? Yeah.
sure, but I wouldn't know how to
You know,
respond.
listen, African problem is not limited to the leaders. The fundamental problem that Africa has is its people. The Westerners, the Europeans, outsiders, foreigners cannot do anything in Africa without the help of Africans. Europeans cannot come and assassinate your leaders without your people being compromised. The biggest problem you have in
100%.
Africa is the people themselves. Africans, I'm sorry to say this, and I'm sorry to say this here, but truth need to be told. Africans hate themselves. They are very, in most part, they are very envious and jealous of themselves. For some reason, they grew up with a spirit of competition within amongst themselves rather than cooperation, and that's what is lacking Africans behind. You will see
What do
somebody,
you think?
you
What
will
do you
see
think?
people in the
Go
same
on.
family. Yeah,
Hey,
you see
Og,
people,
while I
family
have you,
member.
oh, sorry, Sir Jude, carry on,
Yeah,
man.
go ahead.
No, I just wanted to ask him, what internet provider are you using from Africa right now? Are you using Cape Verdean one, or are you using Starlink or something?
Cape
I'm
I
just
can't
Verdean.
believe you
asking for
cut
the
me off for
room,
that.
just to make a clarification here. What was that?
I'm using the Cape Verdean. I'm using the Cape Verdean US
Y'all hear that?
ISP.
Y'all hear that? I was cracking jokes the other day. That's why I was like, because the South Sudanese brother, but he's living under warfare. Yeah? So when you have a stable country who's been running the country, I mean, there's
That's a good
problems
point.
there. Don't get it twisted. There's a lot of problems there. But all I'm saying is about the stability. Since
It's stable.
independence,
Cape Verde is probably the most stable country in Africa. Um, I would
there's a
say
couple of other
most
ones,
definitely
but yeah.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, I'm talking about the problem in Africa. You cut me off just for that?
Oh, sorry. Forgive me, sir. Carry on. Carry on, man. Yo, bro, I'm just flexing
Okay, go
my
ahead, Sir
patriot
Jude.
self.
I
My
want to
bad.
hear. I want to hear what Sir Jude has to say.
Man, I'm just lighting up what has been drawing Africans behind. It's ourselves, and I'm just pointing it out that because I have an intention to make a change, and I wish Africans we could look ourselves inwardly and realize where we are. Majority of the people grew up with this spirit of competition among themselves, and that informs jealousy, that informs hatred, that informs sabotage. They end up sabotaging themselves, and the Westerners see that. They see that as a loophole, and they use that to divide and to conquer. You will see people, even people in the same family, brothers will be fighting against brothers, envious of brothers, wants to use diabolical ways in order to obstruct and or suppress each other. It happens every day in Africa. Tribalism. I mean, tribalism is even an extension of it. You will see people in the same family. You will see people from the same polygamous family fighting against one another. People from even the same monogamous family fighting against one another. You know, they don't grow up with, like you see in every other, some other ethnicities, like the Jews would like to cooperate. Even Westerners, family have this close knit family bond that, you know, there might be some rivalry, sibling rivalries here and there. But in Africa, you see it much more in a broad sense and much more insidious aspect. Some people are not even happy for their own. They're not happy for their own siblings, you know, progress. And it's something that is very, very diabolical. If Africa could be able to overcome that sense of division and hatred among themselves, they will thrive. Okay, because that's what the Westerners use in order to drive away. Look at this guy in Burkina Faso the other day. He's only
Yeah,
surviving because the people around him were able to overcome that. Okay, somebody
sure.
gave some of his inner bodyguards $5 million the other day to
Seven,
kill him. They
seven
said
million,
no.
seven.
They said no, and they came to him. But that was the
Sure.
same way that they bribe Tampere,
Thomas
and Tampere killed what is his name, Sankara, right?
Sankara, Thomas
So
Sankara.
Westerners, yeah, Westerners can't do anything if they can only operate through Africans, and Africans are so greedy that they are so jealous and so envious that people could just take holding themselves down. Africa has everything. You have arable lands, you have human capital, okay, you have the mineral resources. You know, I mean, there is nothing that could stop you from being a giant and a major player in the world in the world scene, except ourselves and our sentiments and our vices.
But
And
do you think?
somebody we
But
need
do
to be
you?
speaking
But do you?
about that because it's simple. Go ahead.
Do you think that? Do you think? Okay, I agree with you to some extent, but I don't. And I'm a person who believes that one should take ownership of their toil in life, right? But then you don't. In order for people to, but I think that's an oversimplification of why people do not fight for the sovereignty, right? Because what does it mean? So right now, you know, we have the president of Nigeria. The last I heard, he was camping out in France. He's going on a fucking world tour, begging people
Bingo.
for money, right? How many people actually enjoy his presidency right now? Every single time I listen to an auntie online, or an uncle, they're cursing him out. Nobody likes this individual. He's taking money from which way, everywhere. It's just like, what are we doing? I personally don't know why that individual's still allowed in office. You know, what does it take? Like a Nigerian version of January 6th, like like an actual January 6th. But then people will say he's a tyrant. What have we heard from this Black American fucking general recently? He said that that Traore, I forget how you say his name, Ibrahim from Burkina Faso is stealing the gold and the riches and enriching
Traoré.
himself. Like, are you fucking mental, bro?
You know he is.
Like, this is the only
No
African leader
disrespect.
to ever stand up. Well, he's not the only one. We've got the Malians and the people and the leader of Niger.
Goita.
Right. Like, what are we talking about here? If the West have the audacity to say that the only real leader who's building hospitals and homes and like building agricultural, all right, it's just like, how do you expect these people to rise up if even the West won't even lead them on, and they're using the black man to even put the idea into the minds of the American people that an African leader who's fighting for his people is corrupt. It's like, so I hear what you're saying, right? But so what I'm trying to say is, how do people in the continent get to fight when even when they're fighting for their freedom and their sovereignty and their right to self determination, the Western powers, the Western colonial powers, or the Western superpowers are claiming that their leaders who were trying to lead them to freedom are attempting to lead them to hell. That's a problem,
Listen,
bro.
yeah, but listen to this though. No Western power, including America, when they everybody's looking out for their own interest. That's
Of
number
course
one.
they are.
That's the point you got. Okay. The guy that is speaking, the four-star general, Marine general, he looks at the world from an American perspective.
It's a waste, man.
He's an American soldier, and they gave him that position. Of course, you know why? Because of his color. So he wouldn't be like another white man, and imperialist is coming. Okay, so what is American interest there? America built a base there for their own interests in order to extend its power in the Sahel, and this guy kicked them out. So they are not happy.
Tough.
Not only that America kicked, not only yeah tough, not only that they got kicked out, but they got replaced by
By the
who?
Russians.
By the
By the
Soviet Union,
Russians.
by the
Of
Russians.
course.
So that is the thing. So we know that, but the point that I'm trying to make here is the man could stay out there and cry foul as much as he wants. It's not going to make any dent, except if some of the foolish. I bet you there are some Africans that are going to the West. Listen, let me do all my research that I have come through. All intervention, Western intervention in African soil were being brought up by Africans. Let me give you an example. Have you noticed that when it comes to the World Court, the ICC and the ICJ, mostly the people that have been tried in the ICC court for genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes are African leaders. Those are the ones that are there, right? No Western leader except this guy that died there. What is his name from Serbia, right? Milosevic, right? And he wasn't
Mhm.
even convicted, so that doesn't count. So African leaders, and what the research is showing is why you see mostly African leaders getting convicted by ICC is why, because their people are the ones that are going to ICC complaining. You understand?
Mm.
Those are the ones that
Mm.
are writing the petitions. Those are the ones that are complaining, and the ICC has to act. Those are the ones that are bringing the evidence. Those are the ones that are creating the courts in order to try these people and take them off to Hague. So now, when you come around and look at it, you see the imbalance. Like it's only African presidents, African leaders that are being convicted by the court, but it's Africans that are bringing it. The ICC judges. These are the people that we have started with, we've interviewed, we have studied, and this is just exactly what is happening. So Africa is the one causing most of their problems. The foreigners cannot come and do much without African aid and African invitation. That's the bottom line, right?
No, I agree.
Tinubu,
I agree. I agree. There is a no. I don't discount what you're saying as it relates to there being a lack of kind of a kind of so one of the points in my 13-point plan is, and it was edited. I was speaking to one of my let's say consultants, right? And the first thing he said was, you the first part of your plan is good, but it's missing a vital part, right? And it's to bring about a spirit of brotherhood and spirit and sisterhood amongst all people. And I think that it was like an obvious thing, which is why I missed it. But it's true; he was correct, and you're correct, because there is such a kind of malicious attitude towards brother and sister. It's like the same kind of temperament I see in America, right? The same kind of attitude, right? It's kind of, crabs in the barrel mentality, as it's been described. Nobody allows another person to go forward, but that's as a consequence. That's that's as a consequence of what and whom. And again, I don't like to blame white supremacy because I don't believe it exists, but I'm not ignorant to the reality of so-called white nations lauding themselves as supreme. I don't believe in it as I think it's a non sequitur. I mean, it's a misnomer, right? I believe that the only way to fight it though is with black excellence, and the only way we can achieve any kind of excellence across the board is through education. This is partly why I'm interested in geopolitics in Western nations so much, so I can learn how people think, how systems are constructed, and how they execute on plans. Because these are the kinds of things people need to come to understand. How does the West operate? That's important. You can't fight an enemy you don't understand. And I'm not saying that the West is the enemy, but the West has always positioned itself as superior to African nations. So if we are ever going to achieve any kind of black excellence, we need to first understand who the fuck we're dealing with. You see what I'm trying to say? This
Yeah,
this
Yeah,
this
man,
is this needs to
that's
definitely,
become
and
the standard.
that goes for
And when we
everyone.
when we understand that there is a enemy of sorts, I think that cannot but breed a kind of a camaraderie. The enemy of my enemy being the principle that allows for that. So I get it. I agree. I agree. I agree. I think that the only way to get there is to really educate people on who the actual enemy is, as opposed to seeing each other or the enemy in each other's eyes, because that's
100%.
stupid.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
that was the point I was
education
trying to make
education will play a
earlier,
very major part
right? But it
to
kind of
it.
flew over
But most
Sir Jude's head,
importantly,
you know,
most importantly,
because
what's
the
going on
thing
here?
is, the illustration I was trying, okay, I was a little facetious, yeah, right? But the point I was trying to illustrate is this about having access to your president and having a culture of having a community. It doesn't mean that, like, for example, in those islands, everyone has a different dialect, and we joke with each other, oh, we're not the same, etc., and so forth. But when push comes to shove, we all together, because we went through a couple of things together where we had famines, so we know we can't play those games. You see what I'm saying? So I was about to go into it. I don't know if you noticed it down there on how, for example,
Yeah.
it's rude in our culture. It doesn't matter if you're in a restaurant, bro, and you meet someone, you have to offer him the food as well, bro. Or otherwise, go home and eat. I know that sounds
Crazy.
strange, but there's a reason behind it, because we have a
Right.
sense
Ah,
of
the famine.
community, bro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, man. You know?
That makes sense.
So that's why I was coming in with that, right? Because ever since 1975, we've had um, peaceful transfer of power. You see what I'm saying? And that helps, even though there was a lot of corruption.
Where? Where did you have to peaceful transfer of power? Which country?
Where Og is at. I don't want to throw him. I don't want to like say it for
Yeah.
him. I don't know if he said it. Yes, the islands in West Africa. So, and that means something, And plus, you had little, like Amilcar Cabral, for those who know, he instituted different little functions, like for every fifth man in government, you had to have 2 or 3 women, stuff like that, that he learned. You see what I'm saying? By reading other
Mhm.
people's struggle. So, I mean, all of these things can be implemented. And one thing that I want to say to my Nigerian kings and queens is I know it looks dark pertaining to the tribal issue, but just look at the Indians. They got over 700 tribes. And those people, they don't like each other either. But when push comes to shove, you come in there. Okay, just try to be the best actor in Bollywood and see if you can get in there, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
shoot.
so, so,
Shoot.
so, y'all just need to organize and shift that energy, and y'all able to do it, man. I know you can if you want to, and I mean the diaspora bears a huge brunt of it. You see what I'm saying? Because you're outside of that matrix, outside of that system, so you can enact change, right? So I'm just
Yes,
saying,
this
man.
is what I'm saying, bro. This is what man, this is, yeah, this is what I'm saying, bro. This is what needs to happen. People that are outside of the system can come back and enact the change that needs to take place on the continent. And this is why the first part of that plan, bar the need to kind of have a kind of sense of family, is to repatriate members of the diaspora back to countries in the continent, because that would be important. That would be cool, right? Bring all of the wisdom that you've acquired, all of the know-how, all of the understanding of how other people, other nations function. Then we educate everybody and put everybody in an equal playing field. But that's an ongoing thing. That's an ongoing thing. At the same time, we then start to develop the same systems that would allow for a better quality of life. And as that starts to take place, then we understand what resources enable us to do what, to achieve, to produce what technology to allow us to export and to start raising the living standards for build our own, invest in infrastructure, build schools, 3D print our homes if we need to, or just give jobs to people who are good at putting together. What I'm gonna say, like those things can happen, but right now it's the leaders jump in every couple of years. They take the money that's given to them. They sit on a couple of billion. That billion's supposed to go to the people, or to go into infrastructure, or to investing in agriculture, whatever, right? And it doesn't. It just sits in the fucking bank account, and that's pathetic. And these people say that they're African. People say that they're black. No, there is no fucking unity. And a lot of the so-called disharmony is as a consequence of the failed leadership. You know, like a true leader would unite his people. That's the point of a leader, to unite and lead. You know what I'm gonna
That's the
say? But we
point.
don't have that in Nigeria. We don't have that. Kind of in Ghana, kind of, but they just seem a bit
You're
flaccid.
not talking about Nana
You
now,
know?
right? I'm just playing.
Would you say, mate? I didn't even hear what you
I
said.
said, you're not talking about Nana, right? I was just playing.
No, no, hilarious, bro. No, but it's true. Sir's right. Don't want to admit it because because it's not nice to hear the reality. But until that is fixed, we're kind of fucked. But that's why I exist. That's why people like me exist. You know. But I'm not even going to speak on that in this room. Anyway, it's 5:30 here. I'm gonna finish doing what I'm doing and get some Z's. But it's been a great conversation. Yeah, when you get onto Clubhouse, when you get onto this app, give me just follow me, mate, and we can have a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, 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 sure. If you're talking to me.
All right, man. All right, man. Obrigado.
De
Ciao.
nada.
Take care, guys. In a bit. Peace.
Peace. Peace. So Chatter is dead now, I guess. There's no one over there. Yeah, it's been a great room. So I'm just gonna dip as well. Jonathan, this happens now and then, so yeah. Yeah, peace and blessings, y'all. I'm out.